If you're interested in animation, this is probably the simplest animation you can do, a bouncing ball. This is using Blender, and let's get into it. So I'll start from scratch. New. Go on, save that. Right, so let's first of all remove that cube. Down here on the left you can see my key presses. X to delete. Shift A to add a new mesh. Let's go for a UV sphere. Now let's move the camera so it's facing forwards. So one way of doing that is I can just delete this. X again to delete. And then let's face the ball. Let's now add a camera. Shift A and add a camera. Now if we move up here, we can see the camera there. Let's pull the camera back. So it's selected at the moment. You just use the mouse to select. And then G to grab it. That moves it all over, but we want to fix it to the X. So we hit X, and now we can pull it back like this. Very good. So, but we're not seeing it yet. Let's have a little view down here in the bottom right. So we can pull, if you move your mouse over the edge there, you can pull in, there we go, oops, we can pull in another window. I can change this to being the 3D viewport, and then I can change it to being the camera. So that's exactly what the camera sees. Good. Let's give it a floor. So again, let's do Shift A, add a mesh. Let's make a plane this time. There we go. Let's scale it a bit. I can go down here, and I can change that dimensions to being, let's say 10 by 10. How about that? Maybe bigger than that. Let's go for 20. Nice and big. Okay, everything is stuck into itself. So let's move the camera up. G to grab, Y to say I only, whoops, Z to say I only want to move directly up. And then do the same with ball, grab, let's Z, bring it up so it's just touching the bottom. Let's also make it look a little bit prettier. So if I do there, the shading, we can have different views, but I want to have this shaded view. Ball is a bit blocky. If I click on it, I can do shade smooth. White ball. Let's have some texture to that, or some colour. So I go down to here, materials, click on new, and let's just have a, let's have a pink ball. That looks nice. The plane, let's have a nice curved wall at the back there, so we get some nice shading, different colours. So we hit tab to edit. Here I want to select this line, so I can go to this to select, and then I can do a grab. Again, that's that's not what I want. I want to do E to extrude that out. Maybe I want to fix it in the X coordinate. Let's do a little bit, and then grab that, fix it in the Z, bring it up a bit. There we go, nice. I'll do that again, so E to extrude it, fix it in the X, and then grab and go into the Z, bring it up a bit. There we go. And now let's go completely vertical from there. So E to extrude, Z to fix. Up we go. And we see down here. In fact, let's change that. So this is middle mouse button. I can drag along to have the same texture view. So we've been editing this I want to do this as well. Extract that out, X, pull it out a little bit, and then grab angle Z to pull it down a little bit. I'll do the same again, E to extrude, X, and then grab on Z, pull it down. Nice. And then tab to go out of edit mode. And similar to what we did with the sphere, let's do a right click, shade smooth. Very good. Let's give that a nice color. So same down here, new material. What color shall we go for? Ooh. Yes. Nice blue. Perfect. The camera doesn't look in a great position just now, so we'll pull that up and back a bit. Grab in X. So I'm just doing this to have a grab Z up. Oops. I think maybe the ball's too big. Let's scale the ball down. So grab it, and then S to scale. There we go. Perfect. Let's go in there. Let's bring that down a bit. So grab Z. Let's go through it a little bit. Grab Z up. Perfect. And that's our view, which we can also click here, and yeah, that's fine. So we're here to do an animation. Let's do it. This window, here's the timeline. So the animation in Blender, all these are just different views. Pretty much you've got one bit of data, which is all of your shapes and everything, just a big pile of data. And these are just maybe different ways of viewing that same data. Like, this is what it looks like, this is what it's made of, and this is delving into a bit more detail. Good. And we've got a few animation different views. So let's stick to the timeline for now. And I want it a bit shorter than that. Let's just do 1 second. So let's say 24 frames. Here we are at zooming in again. The way that you move around is the same in all kind of views, whether it's this kind of data representation of your frames or in your 3D. So I can do middle mouse to look around. I can do shift and middle mouse to kind of track side to side. But let's go back to there, and likewise here, shift middle mouse or zoom in. There we go, moving that to the center. Right. We can. This is potentially a wrong way of doing it because it'll create too much keyframes for each dimension. I'll show you that. So if I do I've just inserted a keyframe there, and if I move up to 12, I grab this and I go Z up, and then I also do an I there, another keyframe, and if I go back then down to 24, in fact what I can do is I can select that one and do Shift D to copy that and move that over to 24. There we go. And now we've got an animation. It doesn't look very good though, does it? That's the way of the easing of how it goes into and out of the different points, which we can see via the graph editor. So let's create another sub window over here. Boom. Graph editor. So we can give it smaller again. Here we go. We've got all the different positions, rotations, and size scale. It's going up and down, which is here. If we select the Z location, but we've also created keyframes for all the other ones that don't actually change. So it's just more data. That was the problem of using I. But yeah, this is our first animation, so heck. So what doesn't look very believable about this is it's just sliding up and down, so it's easing into both at the top and also at the bottom. Really what we want is for it to bounce, so it doesn't slowly leave the ground, it goes with a bit of acceleration. So each of these points you can control, and here we go. So this one, we're saying the right handle is clamped. Maybe let's have it as free, meaning we can grab this and make it do a sharp from the bottom. So now when we do it, it bounces up, but then it slows down because the other side isn't done. Let's do that. Click, left handle free, move it up, same kind of thing. So now we might have a nice bounce. There we go. Very good. But let's add some more flourish to it. So let's say the ball, when it reaches the bottom, it maybe gets squished a little bit. So let's do that. So we go down to here. Let's zoom in a little bit. And actually, let's go. We were in the camera view, but I want to go in the directly viewing it to have maybe better control. So let's S to scale. Let's scale it only in the Z plane. There we go. So let's squish it a little bit, and then grab it again on the Z, bring it down so it's just on the floor. And let's again add that as a keyframe, so it's squished there. When it goes to the top, we want it completely round. That's good. Yes, let's do that for now. And then when it lands again, let's do another squish. Well, we could just copy the first one. Let's copy the first one. So we can select that, X to delete it, there, and we do Shift D, and we're copying it over there. But ooh, look at all this. So it's messed up our nice select it again. Left handle free. Grab. So it squishes, but it does a weird kind of like, how does it know it's going to do that when it lands again? So we could then also have if it's squished like that, maybe very quickly it does it deforms itself in a different direction. So let's do that. So scale Z, go that way, but then we want to keep it the same size, so scale X, Y, there we go, and then start there. So now, there we go, so it's now making a strange, yeah, feels okay. Let's copy that over to the other side as well. So Shift D, copy over there. Oh, see, this is the thing about creating too many keyframes. We don't want that one. Don't want that one. We can also do Shift H to hide everything else. There we go. There we go. That's looking nice again. So, there we go. That might be good enough. So let's say that is good enough for now. We've made the ball bounce. Well done, us. Good. Bye-bye.